Congressman Andy Biggs of Arizona, a member of the House Oversight and Judiciary Committees. Great to have you in focus today. Was it planned for the 8 of you to vote against Kevin McCarthy? Was it a voting block type situation?
Well, I think we talked about it, yeah. I don't know if that I would say it was a plan to vote against him. I think when this started taking place, yeah, I was intending to vote against McCarthy. I had no idea that the Democrats were going to come on board until sometime yesterday. And it wasn't that I was asking them to come on board, but my position was always clear because I believe that Speaker McCarthy, not as a person, he's a nice enough fellow, but as a leader, he had failed not just the conference, but the country, in my opinion.
All right. So everything has come to a standstill right now. Everything. And I know that maybe the pushback would be, well, those subpoenas and those investigations are still going out. Yeah, but you need a Speaker of the House actually to act on those subpoenas. So that's one thing that was promised to the American people. And I just want to get a handle on what happens as the business is stopped. So you've got that part of it, impeachment inquiry, any of that going to go on? And then just the regular business of the House while you pick a speaker. And our reporter just said the standstill over who it should be could go on for months. She talked with Representative Graves. What's your reaction to all of that?
There's a lot of reaction. She also said the House is in chaos. I think that's inaccurate. I think that Speaker McHenry should have, Speaker Pro Tem McHenry should have come in and said, look, continue with our committee hearings. The Appropriations Committee still has 2 bills, Harris, that it was supposed to get out last June and hasn't even taken up. They need to go through and have that vote. They could do that this week. The hearings that we have scheduled should have been going on. We're going to continue with depositions and transcribed interviews. Those are all going on. The only thing that's actually
hold on. I want to stop you there because I want to make sure we're understanding it. So hearings and things are all going on in the interim right now?
They can be.
They can be, because everybody's gone home. So I would imagine that the business has stopped. Hearing that Patrick McHenry is on the Hill today, the interim speaker, would you, or pro tem, would you want him to bring all of you back early? I mean, it sounds like that could happen.
I'm here. I didn't go because I think we should be doing our work. They should never have sent the people home yesterday. I get it. They were in a little bit of disarray, but they shouldn't have said, go home. What they should have said is, we can still continue on with our committee hearings. We're going to do it. Appropriations, you've noticed hearings, do it. And they didn't do it. And that's part of what continues to happen here over and over, Harris. I mean, we were supposed to get 12 appropriations bills out when? By June 30th.
Yeah, I got that. I got that. And again, I want to have a speedier conversation because the American people are hanging right now. They're just wondering, they sent you to Washington to work together, and you guys do work together. You do, but right now you've been given a standstill. So did you push back on McHenry? Did you say, hey, we don't want to go. I'm staying. Let's do more. And what were those conversations like?
Well, my understanding is some of our people did talk to McHenry, but they don't know quite what to make of it, to be frank with you. But the reality, what I'm hearing from the American people is very different than what I'm hearing from the Washington, D.C. bubble. What I'm hearing from people all over the country is, thank you, that needs to go. Let's get back to work. And that's what I've always said. We should be working. We should be working and getting this stuff done. And this speaker, or the former speaker, McCarthy, he was not getting it done. And that's been the problem. And so here we sit once again. Harry?
I think you've made that so abundantly clear. And the American people are right there with you in terms of wanting to move forward on the things that matter to them. And I get all of that. What I'm wondering is, how did we get to this we're on the edge of the cliff situation with everybody going home? And by edge of the cliff, I just simply mean, now you have to do all of that stuff you wanted to do with even less time. Like, no one communicated what day one after the vote was going to look like, because it was always going to look like it's up to Patrick McHenry. And by the way, one of the things he did comes across as rather petty. I mean, rather than waiting for Nancy Pelosi or somebody to come back, he takes her office while she's memorializing Dianne Feinstein. Like, are you all talking? Because that's not who you are, Congressman Biggs. That's not who any of these 8 are.
Yeah, so let me just tell you something. What you have seen, I don't know what Mr. McHenry's motivations are. I don't know about that. But one thing I do know, when people ask me, I would say, look, I know one thing. You're going to see very capable conservative leadership emerge immediately. And before the end of the evening last night, I knew of 6 people who were running for Speaker, Harris. And this morning I heard of a couple others. There are people that are running for Speaker that I believe will make a very aggressive move to resolve these issues.
Okay.
But when you tell me we're in chaos, I disagree with that 100%.
Say that.
No, you didn't, but Aisha did. So when she said we're in chaos, we've not descended into chaos. We have regular order. Everything that took place yesterday was regular order. What isn't regular order is when you pull a fire alarm to stop a vote. That's not regular order. What we did was regular order. And so now we're operating under regular order. We're operating under the rules. And the rules, in my opinion, allow us to go forward with committees. And everybody agrees with that. So,
well, that would be great to see you all reconvene for what you could be doing. And by the way, Representative Jamal Bowman gets a pass because no one's going to be focused on the fact that he brought something to a halt nearly by pulling a fire alarm. But you voted anyway. And that's my point. You worked together. You did what you needed to do. And I think that's what the American people want to see again. And it's good to hear you say that you're perched to bring about that good leadership. I do want to get to this. A former House Speaker wrote an op-ed. This is Newt Gingrich talking, that Republicans must expel Matt Gaetz for this move. He also said this.
4% decided they were so morally superior, so intellectually pure, so patriotically better, that they would side with the Democrats. We ought to be focusing on Biden. We ought to be focusing on the economy. We ought to be focusing on the border. Instead, you're going to get a week or 10 days of the media focusing on Republican disarray. It's an astonishingly destructive behavior by a handful of egocentric people who think they're superior to 96% of the conference.
A couple of headlines. The New York Post editorial board. Matt Gaetz burns down the Republican House. The Wall Street Journal editorial board. Republicans cut off their own heads. A gang of 8 ousts a speaker with no plan or replacement in mind. Congressman, first of all, your reaction to all of that and a quick follow that I'll have.
Yeah, I think that's the uniparty talking right there. Let's ask Newt Gingrich, when was the last time you led a coup? He actually led a coup back in his days. When was the last time we actually had a balanced budget and did 12 bills? He was the speaker. He should remember that. And what has happened over the last 25 years? 130 continuing resolutions, massive debt, massive structural deficit. We've had 3 times in the last 25 years where they did a continuing resolution for the entire year, Harris. And I can tell you what, when you pass out bills and you say, we fixed the border, but you've done nothing to leverage this administration to get the border secure, then you have failed. And in my humble opinion, the speaker basically killed us on the debt ceiling deal. We don't have a debt ceiling in place until January of 2025. All of these things were what he did. And to say that people should be expelled for following the rules. Nothing that was done was not consistent with the rules that were put in place and voted by Republicans in January of this year.
Real quickly, yes or no, former President Trump going into the courthouse today here in New York City was asked if it were him, what would he do? And he says he's been getting calls. He simply wants to help you all get through this process. Your take, real quick.
Yeah, I think that's right. He wants to get through the process. I think he's still the leader of the Republican Party, and will likely be the Republican nominee. And so we want to work with him, but we also want to work with our colleagues. I want to work with my colleagues here.
Representative Biggs, thank you for being in focus. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Harris.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kayleigh McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.